Yo, people, what's up? This is Malcolm Extreme, the content machine, coming at you with another reaction video. Today, it's going to be a comparison of the most painful accidents in theme parks. It's a little bit morbid. I could already see where this is going, just from the first frame. But we're gonna react to it. But before we do, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for more notifications from the content machine, Malcolm Extreme. And this video is by Echo, so if you want to check out his channel, the link will be in my bio. Let's get started.
Joshua Smurphat, 12 years old, wanted to experience freefall, and he learned what it really
1999.
meant. The boy
Damn,
went on
dude.
the extreme ride Dropzone, and at a height of 30
Oh man, dude, if that kid dropped from there, man, that has to have been like the most terrifying experience. I remember like 2 years ago, there was another kid, I think down here in Florida, that actually fell from a ride like this. And there was a video of it and everything. Oh my God, it was just nuts.
suddenly slipped out of his seat, plummeting head first. Joshua's mother saw her son hit the concrete ride platform with tremendous force. It was a horrific tragedy, but at least he didn't suffer if you believe the pain scale based on scientific research.
I don't know.
Falling from a height leading to instant death scores just 3 points. Meanwhile,
damn, bro, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about the pain scale. If you're feeling the terror of you're about to die falling from that height, that has to be just rough.
the highest mark is 140. So how much pain can a place meant for fun really cause? Viewer discretion is advised. June 9th, 1991, in the history of Kings Island Amusement Park in Ohio, is known as Black Sunday.
I didn't even know
Around 9
Ohio
p.m.,
had an
friends
amusement
Timothy
park.
Benning and William Haithcote were strolling through the park's garden by the fountain pond. It was a hot evening, so Timothy decided to splash his friend with some water. As soon as he touched the water, his body stiffened and he collapsed in the shallow end. Not understanding what happened, William rushed to help his friend, but immediately fell into the water as well. Minutes later, Kings Island employee Daryl Robertson noticed the two visitors strangely floating in the pond.
I wonder, was it like toxic gas from underneath the water source? Maybe there was like a geyser underneath it. And like the geyser had like okay, I don't know. I'm just spitting some bro science right now.
As soon as he tried to help them, stepping into the
we'll
water,
see what it was.
Struck by a powerful electric shock. It
Oh,
turned
that
out
makes
a
more
cable
sense.
powering
That
the
makes a
fountain
lot
pump
more
was
sense.
Damaged, turning the entire pond into a massive electric trap. Timothy Benning, who fell in first, survived, but Haithcote and Robertson, who rushed to help, died.
Wow, bro. The guy who actually got trapped first survived it. That's actually kind of nuts. Because he was in the pond technically longer than everybody else.
On the pain scale, death by electric shock scores 36 points. However, amusement parks have even scarier dangers in store. On June 2nd, 1997, when 120 teenagers arrived at San Francisco's water park, employees suspected it would be a tough day, but it turned.
Now, I've personally heard some water park stories. I think I heard about like this kid who went down a slide, and when the slide jumped, he wasn't tall enough to ride it, but when the slide hit like a bump, he flew up and it decapitated him. That was crazy. That was a crazy story.
Into a nightmare. The high schoolers were having a blast all day celebrating their upcoming graduation.
Maybe we'll get that in this video.
The administration announced it was time to head back to the buses. Dozens of students rushed to the Bonsai Pipeline, a 23-meter-long winding slide with multiple tracks. A lifeguard shouted at them, saying they couldn't all go up at once for safety reasons. At least 33 of them tried to slide down together.
Holy shit, is that what the whole structure looks like? You know, a lot of these places I've never heard of before. Like this is all quite new to me.
The slide collapsed, sending the students
plummeting.
They all fell from a height of over 20 meters. 6 students suffered
That's crazy.
severe injuries.
That's
But
crazy.
that wasn't the worst news. Amid the chaos and screams after the tragedy, one detail stood out: a girl lying in a pool of blood. Her chest was practically crushed from the impact, and she died just 45 minutes later.
That's nuts. Like I feel like the staff should have probably done more to stop all those people going up the slide. How does that even happen, man? Like they said the whole thing fell apart. So multiple people must have been in the tubes or something. But then again, like I guess one staffer said not for all of them to go up there. So there was some effort put in, but dang.
I guess during that time, the poor girl felt agony no less than a gunshot to the chest. And that's 43 points on the pain scale. On another continent, on October 25th, 2016, a
That looks
different
pretty.
water ride brought even
Now
more
that looked
agony
pretty.
to its visitors. That day, Kate Goodchild, along with her partner, Ruzi, and brother Luke, took her daughter to the
I'm sorry, Rosie, but you kind of look like DSP. I'm just gonna throw that out there, man. I'm sorry.
popular Australian amusement park, Dreamworld. Around 2:20 p.m., they all went on the family ride, Thunder River Rapids. This ride is essentially an artificial river where rafts with visitors move along, surrounded by exciting scenery.
Yeah.
The top speed on this ride is 45
That reminds me of
kilometers per
the
hour.
Disney
The
ride.
entire ride lasts less than 4 minutes. Kate Goodchild's family, along with another woman and her son, who were in the same raft, were about to finish this short, fun journey when they saw an obstacle ahead. Another empty raft had gotten stuck at the end of the ride,
What?
blocking the path. It seemed like nothing bad would happen until Kate and the other woman threw their children out of the raft seconds before it collided with the other one
What?
and flipped over. For
Dude, that was reckless. I don't know. Like, how fast was the raft going? Like, throwing the kids out into the track just seemed like, I don't know, it's such a reckless thing to do.
adult passengers were hurt in the collision, but were alive when they fell into the water beneath the Thunder River tracks. Park staff immediately called rescuers, stopped the ride, and started draining the water. While they were trying to drain out the artificial river, the two children screamed hysterically, watching their mothers slowly die. When the
What?
rescuers finally reached the trapped raft passengers, they could only confirm their deaths. All 4 adults drowned.
So it was going that damn fast? Damn. Yo, the rapids rides are usually the one ride that I don't think anything like crazy will happen on it. Like when I see roller coasters, like especially like crazy ass roller coasters, all I think of is like Final Destination. Like every time I'm in a ride for a roller coaster with like loops and high dips and shit, I always get that flash of Final Destination 3. Or was it Final Destination 2 with the roller coaster? No, Final Destination 3 was the one with the roller coaster, right? I'm pretty sure everybody who's seen that movie kind of thinks of that when they're at a theme park. Yo, good on the parents for taking their kids off that raft. I didn't even realize how fast it was going.
Scoring 57 points on the pain scale. But if drowning isn't even halfway up the scale, what the heck is worse? On January 3rd, 1984, 48-year-old Dollie Young and her 5 friends visited California's Disneyland.
I think I might have heard of
Of
this
course,
one.
they didn't miss the Matterhorn bobsleds, a legendary ride of that time.
Yeah.
Around 3:30 p.m., all 6 friends took their seats in the bobsleds.
I
Young
heard of
sat
this
alone.
one. I heard of
The
this one.
bobsled sped down 2 tracks that ran parallel for most of the ride. But just a few minutes into the journey, Young, for some unknown reason, couldn't hold on and fell onto the tracks. People riding the parallel tracks saw the frightened woman trying to stand up when the unthinkable happened. Another bobsled came around the corner. The family
Unstrucker.
inside thought there was a dummy on the tracks, yet seconds later,
Yo,
the
that's
father
crazy.
screamed at his daughters to close their eyes as their sled
Yo, was the track really like this? Did it go up like this and curve around? Or is this just for like demonstration purposes?
ran over Dollie Young. The bobsled got stuck on top of her body, and only then did a special system alert the
Damn.
operator that something had gone terribly wrong. The worker stopped the ride, and when he came to check, he saw a horrifying scene. The bobsled wheels had run over the woman's body, decapitating her. Young passed away almost instantly on the spot. That almost was likely enough to feel
Yo.
pain, scoring 77 points.
Yo, I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened in that situation. Did her harness become loose? Was she I don't know. I don't know what happened in that situation. I need more details, man. I need a little bit more details.
Yet there's something far worse on this scale, just as in the history of amusement parks. On September 22nd, 2000, 6-year-old Nicholas and 4-year-old Brandon
This is gonna be
Zucker
another Disney
were the
one.
happiest kids in the world because their family was at Disneyland.
No.
For the younger boy, a huge Disney fan, it was the best day of his life.
Oh,
The Zuckers
Max.
spent the entire day having fun
Yo, I'm actually old enough to remember when they had like Max Goof out as a character at Disney, and a lot of the older characters too.
in the park, and after 10 p.m., they decided to go on the Roger Rabbit cartoon spin one last time. These were individual yellow taxis.
I wonder if they
designed
still
for two
have that
passengers
ride.
That zoomed through the tunnels with vibrant decorations, spinning 360 degrees. But the Zucker brothers didn't want to be separated, so they both sat in the taxi with their mother, while their father and grandmother took the seats in the cab behind them.
Yeah.
The kids enjoyed the ride for just a few minutes before disaster struck. When their mother leaned over to pick something up from the bottom of the taxi, Brandon fell out of the cab.
Oh,
Seconds
no.
later, his father saw his 4-year-old son pulled under the taxi's wheels.
Oh my
The
God.
man immediately rushed to help, yet he couldn't stop the ride or lift the car. It kept moving forward, dragging Brandon for about 3 meters before stopping. His family.
Yo, you think if something like that happened on like one of these rides, everything would just stop in place. Like a like what do you call those things? The people movers? Like they have a button where you hit it and everything just stops. Sure, people will go flying, but if someone's like caught on the track, at least they won't get hurt any more than they would be if the thing kept freaking moving.
Was in shock, but his father managed to call for help. Although Disneyland claimed the ride operators responded immediately, it was actually park visitors who rushed to help the child. Moreover, the ride staff forbade them from entering the tunnel. Fortunately, police and firefighters arrived quickly and used a jack to free the boy, though he wasn't breathing. Rescuers performed CPR until paramedics took over.
Why do you say fortunately? When you say fortunately, I'm thinking like the kid was doing okay.
Miraculously, doctors managed to restore Brandon's pulse.
Oh, okay,
though
cool.
He had experienced clinical death, couldn't breathe on his own, and his body started turning blue from lack of oxygen.
Damn.
Brandon went through an ordeal similar to being buried alive, where the body desperately needs air but can't inhale due to immense pressure on the chest. Being buried alive scores 90 points on the pain scale.
I would
Still,
imagine.
Brandon's suffering didn't end there. He
Yo.
sustained irreversible brain damage and can no longer walk or talk. Despite his and his family's efforts, Brandon passed away at age 13.
Damn, bro. Even after all of that, he still passed away. Had to live with brain damage. Yo, being buried alive is probably like the worst feeling in the world. Just that feeling of hopelessness. Being buried somewhere, not knowing where you were buried, and you're about to run out of air, and if you panic, you're gonna die even faster.
Yet his tragedy wasn't the only one Disneyland would like to erase from history. On July 8, 1974, Debbie Stone, a college student, was incredibly happy as she headed to work, planning to get engaged. She worked as a hostess on the new popular
I heard
show
of this one too.
America Sings at Disneyland. This show featured individual musical numbers performed on rotating stages. To change scenes, the walls on the left side moved toward each other and closed, separating one stage from another. 6 such stages rotated
Definitely
in turn, with the
interesting
hostess greeting
setup.
the audience at the start of the show and bidding them farewell at the end. That evening, Debbie Stone had this role. Around 10:30 p.m., as the previous show was ending and the stages were changing positions, a visitor heard a chilling scream. It was clear this wasn't part of the show, so ride operators rushed to the theater and saw a horrifying scene. Debbie Stone had been crushed
Yeah, she got caught like in between the rotating pieces.
between the walls of 2 stages. I think after such a tragedy, most bones in the body would be broken and internal organs damaged. On the pain scale, this would be almost identical to being caught alive in a meat grinder,
That would
scoring
suck.
96 points. We're almost at the last maximum point on this
Now, I've seen like the electronic meat grinders when they're just throwing stuff in there. It's just crushing things up like so quickly.
scale, but there are still 2 terrifying stops along the way I want to tell you about. The star attraction of Luna Park, Sydney in the 1970s was
Damn,
the
that looks
Ghost
freaky.
There was always a massive line for it. So it's no surprise that brothers Craig and Damian Godson decided to use their last tickets on this ride late in the evening. On June 9th, 1979, when the line was almost gone, their dad, John, joined them while their mom, Jenny, opted to grab some ice cream and wait for them at the exit.
Oh, that ice
Little
cream
did
looks
she
good
know,
too.
This decision would be fateful. Around 35 passengers boarded the ghost train that night. They all set off into dark tunnels.
So this is
filled
like
with eerie
a
decorations and special effects.
yeah, this is like a
That
horror
day,
ride.
The smell of smoke and a creepily
Scare
realistic
ride.
fire in the fireplace added to the atmosphere. 4 13-year-olds were especially thrilled by the scares. Unlike their 12-year-old friend, Jason, the ride operator pulled Jason out of the car just before it entered the tunnel. The kid protested, but a moment later realized he'd been saved from a real-life nightmare.
Wow.
Right then, black clouds of smoke appeared at both
Yo, whoever that ride operator was must have been like a freaking angel to him afterwards.
ends of the tunnel. At first, the riders thought the smoke was part of the special effects, as was the small fire from the blaze. When they realized what was happening, they started jumping out of the cars and running. By
It was a
around
real
10:30
fire.
p.m., the ride was completely engulfed in flames. Jenny Godson, wringing her hands, hoped to see her husband and sons escape the trap. Jason Holman stood nearby, looking out for his friends. Unfortunately, they all got lost in the dark tunnels meant to scare them and burned alive.
Yeah.
On the pain scale, death by fire rates about 101 points.
Yeah, that's also
But you know what I'm
another
gonna say next.
worst way to die.
Theme park visitors have endured events.
Damn,
more
where is
painful
that
than
at,
any
bro?
mentioned so far. Teenager Kaitlyn Lassiter spent a hot June day in 2007 at the Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom with her friends. There, they had a ride similar to the one Joshua Smurphat fell from, which I mentioned at the beginning. Superman, Tower of Power, stood 54 meters tall and reached
I don't think I
speeds
ever been
of
on that.
67 kilometers
And
per
I've been
hour.
to Six Flags.
The essence was the same, lifting people in seats up and then dropping them down, braking just before hitting the ground. Kaitlyn and her friend enjoyed their first ride on Superman, Tower of Power, and surprisingly, decided to go again since there was
I
no
like
line.
rides like this.
However, the second ride
Just if something
turned
goes
into a
wrong,
catastrophe. As the
It's
seats
over.
rose just 6
If you fall
meters,
out of your seat, it's
terrible
over.
noise and sound like a whip crack was heard near the ride. In the next second, a cable fell on the girls, wrapping around Kaitlyn's torso.
Oh, I've heard about this one
The
too.
teens screamed, yet the seats kept rising. Only when smoke appeared near the tower and the air filled with the acrid smell of burning did people around panic. It took the operator 10 more seconds to hit the emergency stop button, but it was too late. The seats with passengers plummeted downward. Kaitlyn managed to remove the cable from her neck and torso. Still, it wrapped around her legs, and within seconds,
Oh,
it
it
severed
tore
both
her
feet
ankles off.
above the ankles.
Bro.
Doctors miraculously saved not just the girl, but also her right leg.
Dude, I cannot believe she survived that shit.
Despite this, she effectively endured the traumatic amputation of both legs, scoring 110 points on the pain scale. But if losing both limbs and even your head isn't the worst on this scale, what hits a record 140 points? Unfortunately, this was felt firsthand by an 11-year-old girl.
Damn, bro.
On March 7th, 2016, Elizabeth Gilreath visited a festival in Omaha, Nebraska with her family. Of course, the rides were what fascinated her the most. Among them was the centrifuge ride called Royal Crown, which Elizabeth eagerly rode with other kids. Soon, the fun turned into a nightmare. Elizabeth slipped from her seat, and her long hair got caught in the ride's mechanism. These torturous
crap.
moments lasted for several minutes until
Oh my
Elizabeth
God.
fell
She get her scalp ripped out, man. Also, carnival rides. I always had a thing about carnival rides, like probably the most unsafe, because like they have to put them up so quickly, and like you never know when like they might oversee or undersee a problem, you know? Because they have to put them up. They have to actually set up the ride.
to the floor of the centrifuge. A bystander rushed to help, but first had to stop the ride with her bare hands, as it kept spinning even after being turned off. When she reached Elizabeth, she realized the girl had been scalped. Skinning alive is considered one of the most horrific forms of torture,
that's horrible.
scoring a record-breaking 140 on the pain scale. I'll add here that Elizabeth survived, and doctors managed to partially save the skin on her head. Now, she's learning to embrace her new self. I wish none of these disasters had happened, but if you want to know about the dangers...
Yo, you know what's crazy? It's like people can survive the most painful shit and live, and sometimes they, like, the thing that kills you the quickest is the least painful, but the thing that would kill you the slowest is like the most painful. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about all this. Let me know if you know of any crazy theme park ride accidents that's happened. Some of these I've heard about before. Like, I've been around. I've heard about some of these accidents before. But great video. Echoes. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for more notifications from the content machine. Malcolm Extreme. Take it easy. Stay safe.